Hello, everyone. This is Jennifer Coons, one of the reference librarians at the Haverford Township Free Library. Welcome to the June 4th COVID check-in. I thought that today, given that we are a day away from a phased reopening here in our area, that I might go back in time a little bit. There's some really fine, informative, authoritative, trustworthy online resources that I would love to share with you. But like I said, so sometimes I can't make up my mind each week, but this week I thought I would go with this one, which is a little older. I'm going back in time. This blog post was made a month ago, about May 6th. And it actually became it became very popular. People started to reshare it or to share it and to repost. Because it gives some basic information about how to assess, how does the individual just assess their risk of becoming ill with COVID-19. And so I thought this is very, very valuable. So Erin Bromwich, I would like to toggle between within this blog, but I've been having a little trouble with my software, and so sometimes I can't take you with me to the new page I'm going to. But we will stay on this page for now. So the name of the blog post is The Risks, Know Them, Avoid Them. And I'll take you through a little bit of what I usually do when I'm trying to assess an online resource, which is I want to know who's behind it, and then I want to know kind of what their deal is. And one of the things I love about this is he knows that this has become a very popular post on his blog, and he's giving you, he's being very transparent up here. He's saying, please read this link to learn about the author and the background to these posts. And what he's going to tell you when you click on that is he's saying that he's a professor of comparative immunology at the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth, and he teaches, he's a professor of biology, actually. He's a comparative immunologist, and he's a professor of biology. When he teaches his class, he likes to use real-world examples of, and so he thought he would use COVID-19 back in, I guess it was the beginning of the year, this year, maybe it was February, in his class, and so his class was using that as part of their coursework in biology. And over time, so he got to know a lot about how the disease was transmitted, and he was posting information about this on his personal Facebook and sharing it with family and friends who found it very helpful, and then shared it with their family and friends. And soon he got so many requests for information that he started this blog. One of the things that I also like about what he shares about himself is that he says he is not an expert. He doesn't claim to be an expert on coronaviruses, and he defers to the experts, and he gets all of the information that he puts forth in this blog from scientists who are experts in their fields and the research studies that they publish. So I appreciate his humility, and I appreciate his transparency. So to me, that's a couple points for him, and for me trusting the information that I'm finding on this blog. And it's very simple. Like if you were just to click on the homepage, I just don't think that if I do this, my software is going to take me with. Oh, no. So I don't know. Are you going to come? Oh, here we go. All right. So yeah, here is the homepage. Erin Bromwich, COVID-19 musings. Look at this beautiful image. Yeah. Always defer to the guidance from your local health department or the CDC. Here he goes. I'm not claiming to be an expert. If you scroll down, you're going to find some more recent posts. What's the deal with masks? There's been a little more conflicting information about that, but he's going to clarify that for you. So back to where we just were. Let's see if I'm still going to come back with you. Are we here? The risks, know them, avoid them. Are we going back? It's taking a little longer. Look, yay. Okay, so we're going to stay here now. Okay, so back to this. So, and part of his teaching actually is focused on communicating science with diverse audiences. So he's working hard to explain complex scientific concepts to the layperson. That's one of the things he does. Actually, that's part of what he teaches. Okay, so, and I'm just going to read you a quote from the homepage. It says, "I'm not holding myself out as an expert on this virus or epidemiology, and I rely on the amazing scientists publishing and discussing their work for the material and data content of my posts. These scientists are the true rock stars of the response to COVID-19. I just enjoy being able to translate their data and findings into prose that a non-scientist lay people can more readily understand as we navigate through this pandemic." All right, so here we are back at this page. The risks, know them, avoid them. So he's talking about the cases is early May. That's going to be dated. So let's see what he has to say about it. What he's talking about is disease transmission. And it's important to know the background of this when you try to assess your own risk and the risk of those around you getting ill. So, question 1, where are people getting sick? Right. So it says, "I regularly hear people worrying about grocery stores, bike rides, inconsiderate runners who are not wearing masks. Are these places of concern? Well, not really. Let me explain." And what he's basically going to tell you is that your risk of exposure has to do with how much virus you're being exposed to and for how long. He's giving examples of rooms and indoor. You know, what happens if you flush a toilet in the back? Someone had the virus, and then what was in the toilet was flushed, and then it goes in the air, and you breathe, and how many droplets and things like that. Some numbers, which makes my eyes go back in my head. So breathing, and then, but the bottom line is this formula. To have a successful infection, you need to have exposure to the virus for a long period of time. Talking more about droplets, speaking, and then here's some images of viral droplets. Okay, so now let's get to the crux of it. Where are the personal dangers from reopening? So now he's trying to help us get a little bit of a sense, and this is a little hard because we currently don't have enough information about the disease and the way that it spreads, but this is what we know so far, of our risks as localities start to reopen. And he's telling us what we know. This is like hard data. That's, numbers that have occurred over the past 6 months, especially in the beginning in March. Some of the biggest super spreading events are meat packing, weddings, funerals, birthdays. It's going to tell you the percentage of how the virus spread. Business networking. There was apparently a face-to-face conference in Boston in March that resulted in a large outbreak. Okay, so restaurants, and these are actual examples of outbreaks that occurred from a restaurant. He's talking about where it occurred, how many people were there. The red are the people who became infected at the tables. Workplaces, he's giving an example of a call center. And the blue are people who became infected at that call center, people sitting very close in desks who were talking. Then he's talking about this choir rehearsal in Washington where one man was infected, but it actually, it says over a period of 4 days, 45 of the 60 choir members developed symptoms, and unfortunately 2 died. Indoor sports, birthday parties, funerals, it's talking about actual events that happened in these situations. So the commonality, the outbreaks, he's telling us that the commonality is that they all occurred indoors. And then he's saying, okay, so back to the original thought of my post. When assessing the risk of infection via respiration at the grocery store or mall, you need to consider the volume of the airspace, very large, the number of people restricted, how long people are spending time, workers all day, customers maybe an hour. So when he says airspace, like, so if the larger the airspace, the less you risk. The less people are in there, the less your risk, decreases your risk. But actually, for the grocery store worker, the risk is quite high because they're there for a very long period of time, and they're there with a lot of people over a period of time. Um, so, so he says, if you're sitting in a well-ventilated space with few people, the risk is low. He says, if I'm outside and I walk past someone, remember it's dose and time needed for infection. You would have to be in their airstream for over 5 minutes for a chance of infection. While joggers may be releasing more virus due to deep breathing, remember the exposure time is also less due to their speed. Please do maintain physical distance, but the risk of infection in these scenarios is low. Okay? And then he gives a link to an article that talks more about outdoor. Okay. And then he, down here, he says, as we are allowed to move around our communities more freely and be in contact with more people in more places more regularly, the risks to ourselves and our family are significant. Even if you are gung-ho for reopening and resuming business as usual, do your part and wear a mask to reduce what you release into the environment. It will help everyone, including your own business. And here he gives a link to an article that inspired this piece. So I'm going to go all the way up to the top. And this is my resource for today. The Risks, Know Them, Avoid Them, posted by Dr. Erin Bromwich, comparative immunologist, professor of biology at UMass Dartmouth. And it's a simple way of understanding how the virus is transmitted to help you assess your risk as we start to do our phased reopening. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Stay well, stay healthy, and all that.